We're back again. It's another trade deadline. Much like the draft is a tradition, so is the trade deadline. It's Vikings and Bengals here, and hopefully a few of our friends coming on to talk about trades happening tonight, trades that have happened in the last few days, and where things sit at this point. So, Chris, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Um, I've I shot my load last night, so I got nothing more to do tonight other than sit back and just comment on everyone else.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of play, Monday morning quarterback on some of this stuff. Although, because I have a problem, and it is requiring that I keep trying to trade things. So everything that I acquired last night has come from conversations today. So what can I say?
That's good. Are we gonna see CMC move before the deadline?
No idea. People reached out saying they're interested, and then when I'm like, "Hey, I would like this," they're like, "No response." After getting some new babies on his team, Chris is positively glowing. I'd say so. I mean, I'm not sure if it's the light or just the way that the computer's picking you up, but I'd say you're definitely glowing at the moment, Chris.
I'm glowing. I am happy. I'm thrilled. The team is in a good spot.
Have your Kelsey back.
I've got my Kelsey back. It's full circle, baby.
I've been looking for a way to make that work for a while for you, and I'm glad we were able to make that happen. I'm all about making dreams come true.
Right?
Let's see here.
All right, who else we got joining?
I don't know. I put it kind of open in the chat last night and things like that, but nobody's joined yet. So let me put the offer in chat here. This one. Too Chris, too much. Here we go. But yeah. All right. So let me see. What has happened here in the last 20 minutes? Because I feel like there's trades happening everywhere.
Oh,
So
let's
happen. So you kicked things off. Well, no, that was last night's trades. Oh my god.
Right. So which way do we want to go with this? Because we could. I'll filter down to trades in the last 3 days.
Yeah, so let's do that because I'm trying to do it through my email and that's just not working well.
No. So if we go back to the 3rd, back to election night or election day.
It's a fun day to think about. Let's talk about the election day.
So the one that kicked it off election day is Chargers Buccaneers, just as a small one. Chargers sent Rasheem Green, Ross Dwelley, San Fran tight end, hopefully to replace Kittle, I'm assuming. Him going down. I don't know the 49ers well enough to know if he's next man up or not on that squad. I'd assume so.
Well, I mean, Dwelley is supposedly the next guy on the depth chart, although Reed is a guest back as well. So who knows?
Jordan Reed?
Jordan Reed is back. He's back and he's active. And I think he's stuck on San Francisco on the 49ers IR at the moment.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be unfortunate if he's got. I don't think everyone has cap issues like I do. We're supposed to let Eagles in.
Yep. Well, I just sent him the link.
Okay.
And he has not showed up on the bottom yet.
All right. Sounds good.
He's doing his running back shopping while he's.
I've actually got offers coming in. I don't like any of them, but they're coming in while we're talking here.
I've got one offer that I'm trying to make work, but I have to do something in the meantime to make it work. If it does, fucking Eric. Gonna give that the heart because, of course, Eric will. Anyways, so yeah, let's get that up. So let me open up the league page here for the last 3 days. And you're saying it's a Dwelley trade. When did you give up for him?
Let me look. Gave up Rasheem Green, Seattle defensive end that has done
It really hasn't done.
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, he had a lot of hype coming out, but has not really lived up to it. So I think
But
that's probably a reasonable thing. Dwelly is kind of a
oh, I
upside.
see what happened. Yeah, he got sent to IR, head and neck injury. So can't blame the guy too bad. All right,
No,
it's a fine trade.
let's see. Yep. Then what's next? The
Uh,
Rams give Crowder and Moore for Josh Gordon, Richard Sherman, and third and a second. That feels like the right value for a corner and Jamison Crowder, who's played great when he's played
when
at an
he's
$8
been
million
healthy.
contract.
Actually, I like the cornerback that he got. He's put up a ton of points this year so far.
Yeah, Kenny Moore. Let's see, where is he in terms of? Yeah, that's a lot of points. 3-year contracts. That's not as much fun, but I mean, yeah, probably Falcons getting good value for his picks, as he tends to.
As he tends to, and he has quite a few picks heading into this trade deadline here. So I'm not surprised to see him move stuff around to make that work.
Yep. Next up, we had
Jason.
Morgan Fox and Lonnie Johnson for McCourty and a fifth. I'm not the deepest IDP knowledge, so I don't know who some of these people are.
I don't either, actually.
Recognize McCourty's name, but I guess Fox had a couple good games, but for a fifth, sure, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a dumpster trade.
Speaking of fun dumpster trades, Jeremy trading away Bridgewater and my third for Dalton, Hooker, and Tampa's second. So that's going to be an early second. So that's like a top 40 pick. That's not bad, especially I think with Dalton coming off he is coming off the books this year. So solid dump by Jeremy and getting a top 40 pick for Bridgewater is not too bad.
You think that's enough value for Bridgewater? I mean, he's a starting QB that scored well so far.
I mean, yeah, he's been playing really well, and I would say he would be worth more, except for the $33 million price tag. Like,
true, but let's say he keeps the job and locks it down. Whoever acquires Bridgewater, he could renegotiate him in a year. And unless he's like a top 10 quarterback, his price tag is going to be coming down. Left with 3 more years on his contract. From the two from the rain egg, one coming back off when the year rolls over.
Let me see here. So right now, Teddy is QB 23. His total points is much higher, but his QB 23 in terms of average. In terms of salary, QB 23 is Tannehill. So yeah, all right, fair enough. He could drop about half the price on him with the renegotiation. So, but that said, I mean, Jeremy's building around Tua, so he's gonna have.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
He'll take what he can get for him.
Okay.
Let's see who's next.
Goose gave up the Jaguars 21 first.
So do you remember who he gave up to get the Jags 21 first?
What was that?
Do you remember who he gave up to get the Jags 21 first?
I do not.
Derrick Henry.
Okay. So he sent Henry, got that first, and now turns that around for Singletary.
So I mean, it I kind of feel bad because that's a loss in value, but
well, Singletary's got a better contract.
Goose is very good at not letting things be sunk costs. So instead of just kind of saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to get what I want out of this pick," and it may float late enough with everyone tanking how they are that it's going to be in the teens instead of the top 10. So I mean, he's getting a starting running back for it. Although Zach Moss did just blow up last week, so who knows?
I mean, starting running back, he's like RB3 on his own team, is what I get told anytime I try to deal Singletary in our other league. So I don't know about that one. I I yeah.
Nope, sorry, I was saying no to a trade offer.
Now looking at Goose's team, he did that. He also has James Conner, who I feel like he just acquired. Maybe that was a little while ago as well. Maybe that was a week ago or so.
He's backstage. Hey, look, it's RJ.
What's up, guys?
Hey, man.
How's everybody's trade deadline going?
I've declined multiple offers in the last 30 minutes. It's going well.
I just accepted an offer that should be going through.
Oh,
It was with Goose. Basically, I gave him back the pick that I got yesterday for Mostert.
so
I
got
traded
Mostert for Singletary, basically.
essentially.
Interesting. Texas is wondering if we're going to be having a trade deadline pod, and yes.
I got this, guys.
under control. Under control. Anyways, no, we were just talking about your flurry of trades on election afternoon, where you got the pick that. So this is the pick that just keeps on giving. So we were saying Goose got the pick by giving up Derrick Henry. Then he gave up the pick to get Devin Singletary. He knew he was going to get the pick back by giving up Mostert. So I guess somebody has to trade him a running back for it.
Right. Naturally, or he has to draft one with it if he decides to keep it.
I don't know if he's allowed to keep it at this point.
That's fair. I mean,
actually, that's a good point. I know you can't trade back an asset that you just got rid of. Isn't that true?
Players.
Yeah, picks I guess are okay.
Oh, how does that fly?
Hey, you know what? I will not be using my time on worried about that. That is.
Oh, I will. Give me a moment here. I'm just reading through the freaking bylaws right now.
So, speaking of trades that Eagles made, RJ, how does it feel to be the owner of a $15 million Randall Cobb?
I'm okay with it because it was at the expense of $11 million Danny Amendola.
That's true. Amendola was an $11 million.
Mm-hmm. The years the Amendola was an expiring contract. Cobb has 3 years on him, so Cobb is a little bit worse off. But just the production for this year, and after that, I'll figure it out.
Gotcha. And then Akins as well. So I think that makes sense for both sides. And I was really surprised by this one. DJ Moore going for my first this year, RJ second this year, and Eric's third this year for DJ Moore. I felt like that was kind of cheap. Again, I'm probably a late teen, early 20s pick based off the state of the NFC, but I think Moore was like a top 10 pick, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Hold on, I was just on the Patriots roster, so I can tell you. 15th pick. So, gotcha. I mean, so depending on who's buying it, you can argue that it feels like an overpay, and it feels like he was really cheap. Because in a situation where I have a $15 million Randall Cobb and a $14 million Amari Cooper, I wouldn't go chasing after him because I'm gonna have to pay him a ridiculous amount of money. But to the Patriots, who are, I don't know, they're rebuilding midway through the season. Sure, I'm sure he can find the money to pay him.
Speaking of teams looking to make a rebuild, especially after Chris's news last night, welcome back, Matt.
Matt's here.
What is up?
I can't hear you, Matt.
You're
He's
muted.
muted, which is
You're gonna have
making
to-
his presence even better.
You're gonna have to do your monologue again.
I mean,
There we
wait,
go.
are
How about
Matt
that?
and Chris wearing matching headsets?
No, they're a
You
little
guys
different.
hear me?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay. For some reason, it defaulted to my voice editing program and not just my headset. So,
Of course.
but sure, and I don't really like a full rebuild. I just like I got caught in this situation where I thought I was going to be able to make like a play on seeing that Chris's team got weak. And then we had the king of simps and Mike here swoop in and say, I'm here to make sure nothing happens to you, Daddy Bengals. Here's a new team. And so there was a legitimate point where I had to choose between trading Kenny Golladay for what I did and making other moves and effectively trading Kenny Golladay for Julio Jones. And so it was like, if I trade Kenny for Jerry and Mecole, then Julio goes to Bengals. But if I
Did I leave
don't
that part of
trade
that conversation?
Ken,
Did I forget to mention that?
not really. I heard that from somebody else.
Ah,
But yeah,
It
it was a mess. But I'm just kind of like here now. I'll take winning my division and getting my money, and then seeing how things play off in the playoffs. So, what are you gonna do?
hey, you know what can I say? I felt the need to acquire Christian McCaffrey when I could for the price that I could. So
Why?
Yeah, that. Mm.
why not?
I don't know.
We haven't made it to that trade yet. Let's get through the rest of ours, and then you guys can.
Okay, yeah.
that one.
I don't want to derail everything, so yeah, please continue.
Yeah,
on
well, we
ahead.
can derail as much as we want when we get to that point.
Okay, yeah, we'll let things completely go off the rails at that point. All right, yeah. So DJ Moore for what's probably a pick in the 20s, a pick in the 50s, and a pick in the 80s or 90s.
I could see why people might think it's cheap based on where he went as a rookie, but then he's also getting close to when he actually needs to have his 5th-year extension applied. So if you take that into account, his value is probably going to be closer to a lot of other receivers we've seen moved around that point.
Yeah, if somebody offered me that and I had the requisite picks to do it, I would probably decline it. But if I was a third party and somebody approached me on an opinion, I would probably tell them it was pretty good for both sides, depending on the team composition, of course.
Yeah, I like both sides of that, but also I don't think I'd pay that much for a wide receiver of like his caliber, but I don't think it's like an overpay. It's just not something that I would personally do.
I mean, not that his like role is diminished or anything, but I feel like DJ Moore was like peak value end of the season last year. And like if that trade would have went down end of the season last year, whoever got DJ Moore, I would have thought got the steal.
Yeah. Again, I think especially coming into this year, like Moore was considered, I think, a top 10 dynasty receiver. He's had kind of a rough year, but I think it's a great buy low. So another savvy move by Patriots. Browns and Giants. Carlos Watkins for Samson Ekubon. Sure.
Yeah, not much to see there.
Wow.
Those are players in the NFL.
Yeah, it was just Browns getting changing things around at the expense of New York getting a little bit younger with a position that is slightly more desirable.
Things that I would not have guessed. Samson Ekubon has been extended 3 times in this league. He got a 1-year trade extension in 17, a 2-year trade extension in 18, and a 2-year trade extension in 2019, and is on a 3-year contract. So
one of those extensions was done by me.
Who even is this guy?
He was the expected starter in Los Angeles at I want to say it's the weak side linebacker spot. but was taken over by, oh boy, was it one of the random nobodies that was on a practice squad last year?
Makes sense.
He had 2 massive games in 2019 with multiple sacks, and I think that earned him another extension for people that bought him.
That'll do it.
He's a good player, but he's not going to set the league on fire, and he's also not going to win a championship for anybody in this league.
All right.
Yep.
I will take your word for it. Moving up, we see Falcons getting a upgrade at the tackle for Brian. Let's see, it was 320. Was a first rounder by Jacksonville, but yeah, probably should have gone Lamar Jackson instead of Taven Bryan. Might have been a better pick. What do you guys think?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So again, I like this move for Falcons. Autry will get him some spike weeks with all the sacks he acquired. So he's gonna pair that with Grady at DT, and he's got another position that he's very strong at. So, yay for the NFC.
It's so much fun to be the NFC.
It is.
All right, getting close.
This is the start of it.
This
It's right
is
here,
this is the start of where it all goes crazy. Here's giving up Chase Daniel for the Bengals 2022 fourth round pick. Did he just pick up Chase? I feel like.
No, he
Probably.
outbid me for him way back in the free agent auction. He paid like
Right.
1.5 million, and I'm like, I'm not paying that for a backup QB that I'm not going to need. Well,
And then you needed him.
turns out I needed him. Well, I didn't need him, but I don't know if the deal would have went quite as well without it, so I didn't want to risk that.
I think what people need to know, and now Mike, this is on you. If Chase Daniels is the backup quarterback for your football team, you need to own him because he will play.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is the heir apparent to the Fitzpatrick legacy.
Yep.
Oh, you mean
was
we're going
so
to be
glad.
hearing that name for that long?
I am so glad he left Kansas City.
I mean,
Enough.
maybe I should use my trade extension on him. Wait, I have no more years left. Never mind.
Just
You're
franchise
out of
tag
years.
him.
I'm at 100 years right now. Yeah, I could make room if I needed to.
Just wait until the offseason, tag him like he's Taysom Hill, and just deal with
Oh,
it.
are we gonna get to expected tags here tonight? Because I got a spicy one for us.
We can get to that for sure. I mean, it's not like we have an agenda or anything. We're just kind of talking.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no trades going to be accepted while we're doing this.
Well, we're not for lack of trying here. I don't know if it's obvious, but I'm trying to. I've got 2 deals that both of them should go through. Just needing the owners to pay attention.
Just call him out right on stream.
That's it.
So my thoughts on this, on the Aaron Rodgers Stafford trade. I was highly offended when it happened, because I expressed interest in Rodgers on the last podcast. But ultimately, I like the move for both sides.
That's a very neutral position.
Hey, when are you running for office, RJ?
I mean, if you
Right?
like, if I have a choice on sides, then I want the Aaron Rodgers side. But I'm also not gonna spit on anybody that gets Christian McCaffrey. Like as much as I want to like shit on him because of the cap cost and everything like that, and I feel like he's just properly priced. Like I don't feel like there's any added value like because of his contract. He's still the number 1 running back in the league and the number 1 dynasty running back.
Yeah, no, I just can't do that. Anyways,
I mean, as the other person that wasn't involved in the trade in the little pod here, I really, 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 really did not like it, and not as like a third party didn't like it, like as a Los Angeles Chargers team owner didn't like it. I just think you just gave up so much, Mike. Like everything is a like reasonably large downgrade, except for Dobbins to McCaffrey, and I don't think the gap between McCaffrey and Dobbins is big enough to justify like the cliff edge between some of these pieces.
No, and again, as one of the sides here, again, I don't have McCaffrey anywhere, so it was an interesting opportunity to buy him for a price that I think is reasonable, because Rodgers is on a 2-year deal, which means that realistically to keep, might have to give him an extension this offseason, and he's playing strong enough that I don't know if I want to do that. Otherwise, letting him play out his last year just to risk franchising. So I didn't want to have to try and make that decision. I have no idea what the hell is going to happen with Jordan Love in Green Bay. They can, I think, kind of get out of Rodgers' deal this year, but if they're going to win the North, I don't know if they're going to do that. So he's sitting there another year, and then there's a possibility of him going the way of the dodo bird. So I figured I'd cash out while I could still get first-round value for him. Like you mentioned, the upgrade was from Dobbins to McCaffrey, and I mean, I feel like maybe I didn't get full value for Kelce, but considering what I gave up to get him, I felt good with the return. Plus, Moore, Thomas, and Hendrickson are all cheap contributing players on contracts less than $1 million. That, again, I think Thomas is starting to pick up an increased share in Carolina. And then between that and the picks, which let me get Jaguar King and Quentin Jefferson as well, I think it kind of rounded out the better part of my team. So I agree. It's a downgrade at each of the positions, but the depth that I had kind of sacrificed elsewhere, I think helps me.
I mean, you do you, my guy. I told you to get the bag. You got the bag. I just didn't think the bag was that fucking big.
So there's a lot of stuff in that bag.
So what's interesting is Mike had sent me a version of this offer. How many days ago was it? Like 4 or 5 days prior to us actually pulling that off. And it was a smaller version of it. Well, essentially, it didn't have Jordan Love on the Vikings side. It was Rodgers, Dobbins, Kelce, Stafford, CMC, and Ian Thomas. So obviously we added like the backup QBs and the backup tight end and whatnot in there. But the amount of time it took to figure out the deal was all around the value of Jordan Love being added in to it. Because from my perspective, again, nothing's for sure with Love. But if you're going to have Rodgers and there's potential he's not with Green Bay, I want what should be the heir apparent. And again, no sure thing. But this is probably as close as I can get to having a starting QB and then his backup to that point in the future. No,
Fine.
The tricky part is what to do with Rodgers, like Mike said. One possible option for me is to, again, franchise him after his years expire, or depending how he plays here, actually use my renegotiation on him to drop his contract in price if he's not too high up on the QB points per game.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we haven't really seen it yet because no real QBs have hit the market. But I think, like, for guys like Rodgers, it may just be legitimately worth it to let them hit the QB market.
Yeah.
Because so many teams already have QBs that are paid highly that, like, you're going to be competing with maybe 4 or 5 other teams for him. That, like,
yeah.
But not saying that's only 4 or 5 teams that are looking at getting QBs, but like that's 4 or 5 teams that are looking at getting QBs that are looking to get QBs like Aaron Rodgers that aren't like the Broncos this summer probably isn't looking to sign an Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he might as like a, hey, I signed this dude and then flip him. But then, like, realistically, how much larger is a contract he picks up in free agency than one that you would get from just extending him? Like, they're probably not going to be that grossly apart.
I mean, we had tight ends that hardly played any games going for $18 million in our free agent auction.
Yeah.
I mean, like the thought of bidding on someone like Aaron Rodgers in free agency against
That's tight ends though, right?
Yeah, but this is quarterback. Like
Yeah, that's my point though. Like so many people are already paying 20 plus 25 plus million to QBs that like they can't realistically invest into paying another 35 40 million to sign Aaron Rodgers. But if they do, then they're stuck with 2 QBs and they have to flip one.
Yep.
So then you go out and you're saying, "Hey, whoever signed Aaron Rodgers, you try and get their QB because now they're stuck in a bind."
And all it
it is
takes
now
is one
official.
fool with the deadline's
Trade
over.
line has passed. The trade
Ah,
deadline has passed.
we're
Trades are
done
no
for the year.
longer allowed in this league.
Aw, I'm sad that my punter trade wasn't the last trade.
Oh, I snuck one in right at the end.
I do
Nice.
appreciate that we skipped right over mine and Mike's trade.
Well, that happened kind of like all of
It was
these
the
happened at
exact
the
same time.
Yep. It was trying to get Broncos Bill to agree to do my deal for me to do the Vikings one, which wasn't necessary, but I didn't want to go all in on Kelsey and Rodgers unless I did all in on Julio. Everything at the same time.
I was the linchpin on that one, I
Ye-
think.
Yep. The funny thing is, I ended up talking to Falcons at the same time, and he said you were involved in negotiations with him as well. So one big cluster last night.
It was a fucking cluster last week because I was trying to trade with Falcons to dip one of my defensive ends, which would have opened the door for a deal with Broncos at not Kenny Golladay price for Julio.
Yep.
And so I would have kept Kenny, gotten Julio, ditched like JPP or Watt, and then all of this is avoided. Your team has the unfortunate passing it did this week. You're not in a position to make this huge deal with Mike, and I calmly walk in to the end of the AFC Championship game. But both fucking Falcons was like, nope, not I can't do this right on the spot, and Broncos went missing because he went to go eat dinner with his wife. So
Lane. How dare he?
sad.
Oh, Matt.
Oh, all right.
Get
Well,
cooked.
can't believe I didn't
No.
get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I
I'm
think
just
mine and
surprised I
Mike's
did it.
trade is just boring.
Yeah, I'm surprised I did a deal where nobody's yelling at me for being an idiot. Like when I set this off, I'm not used to
Actually,
that.
that wide receiver swap is kind of interesting to me
Yeah.
because
I mean,
I like your guys' deal.
I feel like it was like a slight sell low on Gabriel Davis, but I also think when you're involving those kind of young wide receivers on the other side, it's really hard to just like nitpick. Oh, you sold like for not enough value on the cheapest player in the deal.
I love Gabe Davis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
me
like
too.
to me, Mecole's production is what I think Davis's ceiling kind of is. Like his realistic ceiling, not his I really like that's what I expect him to hit. He could go above that, like very easily could go above that. But like to me, it was like I am trading right now the best wide receiver in Kenny, and right now worst wide receiver in Gabe Davis, to like shift down a little bit and shift up a little bit with Judy and Mecole, while still staying young on both of them.
second best wide receiver with Kenny.
Who do you think the first is, Jerry?
DK hasn't become expensive yet.
What?
No,
I'm
he's
talking about
in
the
the
four
deal.
including in this
okay.
deal.
I thought you
RJ.
meant overall because
No.
he is that
Kenny,
valuable.
I mean,
Because
I
I'm
want to say
surprised
he is, but
Yeah.
a lot. I couldn't find anyone that was interested in trading for Kenny for his actual value. Like this was
Okay.
easily the best value I could have found for Kenny.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. All I'm saying is like if that trade went through without Gabe Davis even involved in it, I also wouldn't have like been that shocked.
Yeah.
But that's just because I view that Kenny contract so highly.
I just can't believe you got rid of 2 of your price lock guys that you
Yeah.
had on your team for peanuts this year.
Not really peanuts. Eckler
No.
was kind of peanuts. We'll
I'm
see how
sad I don't
Tanyan
have
plays.
Eckler.
But I don't think that Kenny. I think Jerry's going to produce a lot better once they draft Fields this summer.
Ooh.
I'm still thinking that. And I think I forget which podcast it was, but somebody had mentioned that they think that's where Rodgers is.
Really?
I was
They're
not on
tailor
that
made
pod.
for a veteran QB.
Interesting.
Anyways, enough about Rodgers. Let's talk about the last pieces of this deal, which was not a three-way deal, but pretty close. Julio for Adam Shaheen, OJ Howard, and a first. So Julio finally goes for a first in 2022.
Pretty standard.
Yep.
Deal makes sense for both parties, unfortunately.
Julio belongs on a contender, and now he is. And Broncos deserves more picks, I guess.
Broncos gets picks. He gets OJ Howard. He can renegotiate.
Yep.
He gets whatever the fuck Adam Shaheen is up to these days.
Probably unemployment.
Oh man, that is such an obvious push off.
Oh God.
Oh, I don't have the game on yet.
I'm just
I'm
gonna
have
be
to.
sad.
No, it's
The fucking
Devontae kind
Niners.
of went full Mosley's back, but it ended up being incomplete.
Of course.
But
I'm just ready
anyways.
to watch the practice squad for the Niners get their ass whooped.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
I
Anyways,
expect great things from Rodgers on his new team here.
I'm very glad to have Jake Luton's backup, Barry Minshew, back on my team.
Yes, you had quite the deal at the end there. You got Minshew and Jefferson for a second.
Yeah. Again, considering where things were this offseason, Minshew probably would have gone for a first. If Minshew's able to kind of take back and hold on to that job next year, he's going to be a $2 million starting quarterback and worth that first again. So I figure it's a low risk, high reward option there. If Luton hangs on to it, then giggity. If they go a different direction, it's a second.
Makes sense.
Good deal for you.
And then two other people in this podcast making a deal. Jerome and Baker getting moved.
Yep. So, what needs to be said is when we were doing our discussion for that big trade, and I was doing the other one. Like normally, I'm pretty good with numbers. I wasn't as good last night with numbers at that point in time. When we got to the end of it, I thought I'd have a couple million still left over, and apparently I did not. Otherwise, I would have let you send that defensive end with that deal, Mike. I would have made you hang on to him.
Oops.
So I missed that. Had to drop that to get under cap, and then I realized that when Okafor returned, I'd be over the cap again when he got back from his 3-day stint on IR. So I went hunting, and an earlier pod that we had done, Eagles had mentioned he'd buy Baker. He'd pay more for Baker than anyone else. He's a fan of his. And it just so happened that Schobert was sitting there, and I have Baker a bit above Schobert in my rankings, at least for this league, with how they score sacks and that. But with the cornerback swap for a little bit of cap space relief, and swapping those linebackers, and then I wouldn't take a hit when he gets extended at the end of this year, Baker, was something I had to do to put it in my new salary cap strapped team I've got going on right now. So that ended up just being, that was late that night, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I processed early in the morning. Yeah, no, I mean, I saw your message. I was well asleep by that point.
So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add, RJ. I mean,
No, that was just one of those where we were basically on the same page. I valued Baker more, but I love that Schubert contract. Just because it is price controlled forever. But I can't pass up getting a player that I am fond of and that I think highly of in fantasy.
That is garbage.
I don't have the game on yet.
I turned the game on. You guys will see that touchdown. That
was gifted.
Yeah. So it was Rodgers to Devontae. Devontae, first off, clearly extended his arm to push off on Mosley. then went up and got one hand into the end zone, then his elbow and knee landed out of bounds, but they called him in.
I haven't seen
Anyway.
it, but it's clearly a touchdown. I'll take the points.
I really enjoyed Devontae Adams walking around without his mask on, and then Aaron Jones also walking around without his mask on. Like, what is the point of these guys even wearing masks if they're always down on their chins?
Did you have you watched the what was it, the South Park special this year?
No.
So in lieu of a new season, they just did 1 hour long special that
Oh,
they called
wow.
the pandemic special. And basically it was fantastic. Just kind of making fun of everything topical right now. At one point, guys, coming out to sign for a package, he's like, "Excuse me, if you don't mind, could you put your chin diaper on?" And again, it was him wearing the mask around his chin like this, kind of like that, doing absolutely nothing to protect anybody from the threat of COVID. But, oh, yes, excuse me, let me put my chin diaper on.
Who do they
Magical
have
stuff.
returning kicks? Is that McKinnon? It
Anyways,
is. Poor
let's see.
bastard.
Who is next?
Um,
So next up we have we have
My
a salary
dump.
dump. Getting rid of Taco and Kaleki Hudson.
Yeah, that was. I've been searching to dump Taco for the past couple days because dumping his contract gives me exactly enough space to sign one singular 475 or 475, 450, whatever it is, player, and promote Christian Kirksey. So
Nice.
that was my whole thing. I will be back in one moment.
I can't believe he took Taco for essentially nothing. Looks like 2 free
Kaleki was
dumps.
Rookie. Where was Kaleki drafted this year?
He's probably a free agent pickup.
He's a
Right.
4-year contract, so
Oh.
he was drafted for sure.
I don't know.
Or maybe sign and given a 4-year deal.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Matt on that one. I mean, either way, hats off. That's a fantastic deal for Broncos. Or for Chargers, I mean.
Yeah. He's got Broncos has space and doesn't really care anyway. So
Right.
He was too kind, is what I'm thinking. Much too kind on that deal.
hey, I mean he's made all sorts of dreams come true this deadline.
That is true. I can't
Yeah.
complain too much.
Yeah, he facilitated
could.
some moves for me.
Good.
Let me see here. So it was Khalid Kareem in the 4th. There he is. Oh, Matt drafted him.
Who, Kaliki?
Leaky Hudson in the 5th.
He's an interesting little project. I think he could end up playing next year, but it was like he wanted Kaliki, Blackwood, or Strawn, and I'm definitely not trading Blackwood or Strawn because I thought Strawn was going to be the starting inside linebacker in Denver this year, and I think he could still be it next year, unless they mess around and win a couple games and get out of the really good offensive player or offensive line zone and end up in the we should just draft a linebacker zone of the draft. So I think he still has that chance there. And I don't think the Taco deal is that bad, given it's a 1-year deal. It's just hey, eat this for 4 more weeks. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things he could have taken it and tried to sell it off to somebody else for a 5th or something like that. And he had more than enough time to offer it up. Probably just didn't get it done.
I scoured pretty heavily on finding anybody to pay literally anything for Taco Charlton, and nobody wanted him.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. Patriots and Chiefs. Chiefs were on the hunt for a safety and got 2 in Devin
Got
McCourty
2.
and Eric Murray for Clinton Dix and a 3rd. Any thoughts?
Those are, in fact, NFL safeties.
They are. McCourty is expensive, but he got what he was looking for. So the Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he got McCourty in an earlier deal, I think. No, it's Jason McCourty, not Devin McCourty.
Yep.
Okay. Both Twins got
Yeah.
traded at the deadline.
I had McCourty earlier in the season, then moved him at some point to Pats. I think I moved him to Pats unless he's bounced around a few times. Yeah, I signed McCourty on the off season, and that was my hey. I need safeties. Give me safeties. A lot of money. Give safety.
Yep. All right. Then the contract dumping continued with Brendan Scarlett and Earl Thomas for 2/5. Let's see, that ended up being about $9 million in contract dumping for 2/5, where $6 million got dumped for 1/5. So that's probably about fair.
Yep.
Back to Eagles, using that space to swap N'Keal Harry, Tano Kapassignon, Tack McKinley, and Fred Warner for Damier Byrd and Zadarius Smith. So was this driven partially by the Baker deal, that since you were going to have to pay Baker to extend him through the renegotiation, you didn't want to have to have that big price on both Warner and Baker?
No, not necessarily. I just identified Sweat as a steal. If I picked him up in a deal and extended him before the deadline, he'd be under $1 million for the rest of his career, or
Yeah,
roughly $1 million.
Yeah, I was sad to let him go in a deal earlier this year, but I think he's a contributor for sure.
Right.
Liked him ever since he came out of school.
So I downgrade Harry to Damier Byrd, which that's fine. Damier Bird's out snapping Harry this year, so that's fine with me. Passanio and McKinley are they have upside, but so far they haven't performed the way that they've been expected to this year. And Fred Warner is Fred Warner. Ridiculously cheap, ridiculously good, but will get expensive really quick.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be Zadarius Price this offseason.
Right. Yep. So, and I view Zadarius as, more of a rental.
Yeah.
Not a terrible rental by any means, but, the thought process was basically Sweat for Warner, and Sweat was drastically cheaper to extend.
Yep.
Just hoping that you get to throw Zadarius Warner against Bengals again this year, see if he can cost him a second championship.
If I end up playing Eagles in the championship, I will be thrilled. Let me just put it that way.
I tried my best to get Zadarius earlier in the season, but things just did not shake out contract-wise.
All right. Then Texans and Bears making a swap: Sterling Shepard, Gilliam, Jackson for Ward, Harris, and Nelson.
Yeah.
Is this as bad as I think it is?
I think this is pretty bad in my perspective. Unless it's...
I know I'm higher on Sterling Shepard than the average Bear, but seriously, Greg Ward has all but lost his job. He was supposed to be the guy who stepped in as receiver one. Fulham's now that, and now Rager just came back, so Ward's going to go back to the third receiver chair at best for Sterling Shepard. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't. The three guys that Bears gave up, none of them have any lasting value to me. Shepard is what you'd want and what you'd expect for that $8 million contract. It's exactly the type of receiver you're looking at.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
it's Bears being Bears.
Yep.
And then Gilliam, I was going to say, hey, I wonder if he's going to go, but then Bears literally turned around and dumped him to Broncos. So clearly not excited about that.
Yep.
Fifth. All right. Steelers and Texans. Texans give up a second to pick up KJ Wright. How's KJ been playing this year?
Good.
Yeah, pretty solid. So yeah, they pick up a solid linebacker for what amounts to be a late second. So
I mean,
good
I
deal
made
for him.
I made offers for KJ Wright. It's more than I was willing to pay, so I don't see anything wrong with it.
No, wow. Texans really did a bunch here at the deadline. Holy cow! I did not realize
Mm-hmm.
he was for the last 6 trades.
Yeah, he was busy.
I'm sorry. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Then picks up Emmanuel Sanders and Shelby Harris from the Ravens for Sheldon Rankins, Jared Davis, and his first. Ravens picked up a first for Harris and Sanders. Wow.
Yeah, that's a steep cost for an expensive receiver and a good but old defensive end.
Yep.
And I mean, he's he's good, but he's getting outproduced by like Malik Reed is outproducing him right now, and
Yeah.
Malik Reed is a rando linebacker.
The only reason why he's consistently on the field is because their lack of depth at actual like defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Davis is just definitely an expiring contract here. So, all right, well, the fun thing about that is Rankins is at D tackle. He's only 26. All right.
It's a very all-in play by the Texans.
Very nice, Mosley. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great value grab by Ravens, who,
Yep.
again, continues to compete and pick up rebuilding assets at the same time. So, God damn it, stop getting good owners in this league.
I just appreciate if more of them left the AFC North, and then I could just have my easy division again. Back
I
when
mean, we
first
just
joined.
have to have the half AFK AFC South and the half AFK AFC East.
Yep.
Like, you and I are in the two most like active divisions, and I've got one team that's like pretty good in the Chiefs, who's actively trying to get better. Raiders is in the no man's land of like is kind of tanking, but isn't as tanking as hard as some of the other teams. And then there's Broncos, who I have no idea how the hell he won one game this year.
With the Seahawks.
It's unbelievable how he pulled off that win.
He was playing the Seahawks. That's how he won his game.
Ridiculous.
I
And then
need
there's
to
the
go
Titans,
look.
which is the perennial team that just has players rotting on the roster and doesn't do anything with them.
All right, and then so this next, I got to ask. So what happened, Matt? Did you reach out to Ty Summers and say, "Hey, I traded for you on my fantasy football team," and he said, "Who the fuck are you?" And he pissed you off, and you had the trade. I'm like, you were so excited to get him.
I mean, it was just like I had to trade this one. This one is for the memes, because I will be franchise tagging the Seattle Seahawks team punters, or the team punt team, whatever. I will be
Michael
franchise tagging them.
Why?
Michael Dixon.
Why not?
But why?
But why not?
It's a team punting unit.
Yeah, but they're really good.
The number
And
one scoring punting.
They're the number one scoring. Do you know what their cost is going to be? Me franchise tagging them.
Oh my god.
You know,
it's a minimum.
there's no. Okay.
There's no downside to me franchise tagging.
There's no
team.
guarantee they stay good with how
It doesn't matter. It's a
punting
punt
units
team.
are scored.
It's a punt
All right.
team.
Okay.
So
It's
yeah,
not
the
like I'm
average is
paying.
about-
See, like it all comes down to cost. And I asked Jeremy this because I'd reached out to I reached out to Cowboys earlier this season, trying to trade my punt team for his punt team. And I reached out to Packers and I was like, "Hey, so if I franchise tagged a punt team, how would how would their contract be decided?" And it's decided based off the previous season. So it'd be basically a minimum salary to just franchise tag a punt team. So I lose nothing, but gain fucking laughing my ass off to the fact that I can say I am franchise tagging a punter.
Okay.
In
Wow.
And it's a 5th-round pick, which may be better than Ty Summers. He completely lost his job. So, and he lost his job to a guy with a lot better draft pedigree than he did, or he has. So he has effectively no fantasy value for me, while the Seattle punt team almost doubles my punt scoring. So I'm sorry, Ty, if you see this. I am sorry, but
I mean, I'm
I
pretty sure
need
he
points,
does.
man.
I'm pretty sure he subscribes to the podcast.
Yeah, more than likely.
Oh,
People actually talk
okay.
about me? That's incredible. Anyways, all right. Last but not least, the final deal before the deadline came and went. Unfortunately, it was not the punter exchange. It was Joe Hayden going from the Cowboys to the Texans. Unfortunately, the Cowboys were not able to trade Philip Rivers at the deadline. Very sadly, but what can you do?
Oh, there is another one after that.
There is.
Just refresh the page.
Oh. Who
Yeah, the
hell?
Mostert trade.
Most
Oh, that's right.
I hate this trade for you Eagles. If I'm gonna be honest,
That's fair.
like
It's like
you getting the first was so good for you that Jaguars first, and then you gave it up for
Yeah.
a running back that is never healthy on a team that is completely fallen apart this year due to injuries.
And it's a team that has proven that running backs don't actually matter. They can
But they
just plug-
continue to pay running backs.
Yeah, like we keep paying running backs, but it's also like the actual running back doesn't really matter in the sense that like if one of them goes down, another one it's a fucking hydra of running backs. You cut off one head and 2 undrafted free agent running backs grow in their place.
Oh, Hydra.
no, I completely agree.
You don't, because you paid a
Uh,
good first for him.
Yeah, I just
Only
wanted
first
more running
15.
back depth.
You
And-
could have drafted a running back though.
Not in the middle of the season.
No,
It doesn't matter this season. Falcons is gonna knock you all out on his way to the ship.
Even Washington.
Even Washington and his
no,
fake
Washington's
ass
not
team.
going to get knocked out by Falcons. He won't make it that far.
I can't wait to see the NFC playoff seeding and which team. Like, I am so interested to see the Falcons, Redskins, and Bears seeding and who they line up against.
This is
The Falcons will get a bye.
Oh, true.
Well,
Yep.
That's something I
Barring
actually
some
want to check on
shenanigans.
here. So, the rumor was the NFL was meeting to look at making it a 16-team playoff instead of a 14-team playoffs,
Oh,
which would
God.
get rid of the bye
Oh
in the
my
NFL.
god.
So
I wonder
would
if
that
we
get
would
rid of our bye?
I wonder if we would change that. I don't think we would. Just because a 16-team playoff would take an entire another week. So we would have to cut a week off of our regular season to make that happen.
No, it wouldn't. Instead of a bye and 3 games to get to 4 teams in each conference, we'd play 4 games and 4 games to get to
Yep.
4 teams in each conference.
It would work.
Would that not add another week in that bracket?
No.
No.
There just wouldn't be the bye. The number one
Yeah.
seed wouldn't have a bye that week. They'd end up just playing the extra team that was added on each side. Would be our 2 extra teams in there.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, 14, not fucking 8. I'm stupid. Never mind. Ignore me. I've had too many White Claws.
Here we go.
These shits are
Emergency
so
2020
fucking
season
good.
modifications. 24B. Should the NFL change their schedule format for the 2020 season, the GM schedule will be altered to align as closely as possible.
There's no way they switch that NFL.
They
No
could.
way.
I mean, I don't think they will, because if they were going to do something like that, they would have changed tonight's game to not be happening tonight, because it would have been an issue of like, hey, we have a team that is going to be missing 3 more starters to COVID.
Oh, we're missing everybody as it is.
That was the laziest little run I've seen tonight.
Fucking hasty. All right. Well, those are the trades. thinking about other things to talk about. I know Matt, you mentioned a desire to talk about tags. Was the punter tag the spicy
That was the spicy tag. Is I will be
spicy
tagging,
tag?
likely a franchise tag. It could just be a transition player tag, but we'll see. My punt team, because why not?
So let's see. At final count, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams who did not use any of their trade extensions. So lame. But a good number of other folks got some value out of that. We
Wait a
now
minute.
have I guess the rest. So I can't recall. Now, did the trade extensions disappear when the deadline passed, or within 24
Yes.
hours of the deadline?
They are 24. I would assume it's 24 hours from the
24
deadline.
hours from, yep.
But like, you can no longer use trade extensions because you can no longer trade. So
Right. So unless you've already acquired that player, you can't extend them. All right. Maybe I just have to extend, Chase Daniels.
something I am seeing here that I didn't realize previous to this moment, this exact moment, the Broncos has exactly enough players for a starting lineup plus one backup cornerback. That is entire roster. It's one QB, two running backs, two wide receivers, two tight ends, kicker and a punter, a defensive tackle, two defensive ends, two linebackers, two cornerbacks, a safety, and then he's got a cornerback on his bench. But that is it.
All right.
So the
you
game
don't-
the Broncos won was actually week 1 against the Raiders in one of the doubleheaders. I looked back and found that.
God.
All right. So in all seriousness, the Broncos needs to drop Darius Guice and pick up another running back for the sole reason of getting $100 million in salary cap adjustments against him. He's at 98.7 right now. Dropping Guice and picking up a min-salary player or cutting Rosen for another quarterback would get him over that $100 million threshold. Which, I mean, at this point, you just have to do.
Oh, man.
Wait, did he immediately cut Taco?
Yeah.
Probably.
He did.
So let's see. He absolutely cleaned house as soon as the deadline passed.
Oh my God.
Gillum Shaheen, Taco Robertson, Brennan Scarlett, and Sean Davis and Earl Thomas. Let's see here.
He basically said, if you are not somebody I can put on IR, I am cutting you.
Oh my God, that's so. This is just fun to look at. He had. This is just wildly impressive. I've got to give him a round of applause for this. Carryover had $347,000 in previous year cap hits, and he's rung up a bill of $98.7 million in cap hits, primarily due to a $54.5 million salary cap floor enforcement.
I'm impressed.
This is good work. Like I thought when I was doing my thing, it was impressive. Like this puts me to shame. My God.
He needs to make sure he does his homework and knows what he's going to be doing with those picks and how to, yeah.
I don't know.
No.
This is the other really fun thing.
I added
2021, he's got less than $4 million in carryover cap hits.
I knew I
He's
should
at
have added
90
Crackcraft.
At almost $98 million right now. He's at 98.7 right now, and he's got less than $4 million in cap hits next year. I think that might get adjusted with some of the players being dropped, but that's just. All right, now I have to see how many picks he has because
He has a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I was
No.
happy to not have to send him more picks because I think he's going to be in a position kind of like you were last year where he's going to have to give up picks.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, yeah, we can't. Fuck.
Yeah, you can't just hit trade to view it.
Shit balls.
So it's reports. It's league future draft picks.
Oh, this is kind of neat. That's pointless, but that's neat.
So let's see. Scrolling over to Broncos. He has the Ravens, Jets, his, and Buccaneers first. His second, his and Buccaneers third, no fourth, and then 3/5.
I don't know if you guys have ever looked at the what the fuck? If you've ever looked at the draft tab, there is an option to view it as steals and busts that is a beta application from MFL. And some interesting busts that they have listed here are CEH is a bust. Jerry Jeudy bust, Jonathan Taylor bust, CeeDee Lamb bust, J.K. Dobbins bust. Basically, the entire top 10 picks, except for 101 and 103, are all busts.
There's only one steal in the whole draft.
Does it actually say one of these is a steal?
James Robinson.
518.
Trevon Diggs is a steal.
Oh,
That's
so
me.
there's two of them.
Boom.
Oh,
Yeah,
and yeah, there you go, James Robinson.
That was a fantastic pick in Diggs.
That is hysterical.
Yeah, that guy has led my defense, surprisingly. Don't think I'd say that about a cornerback.
That is fantastic.
We're just learning all kinds of new things tonight. How the fuck are there only 2 steals in the whole last draft?
That's why it's in beta.
This is horrendous. It must compare it to like
Expected
the
that.
an actual like startup draft, right?
Okay, so what basically they're doing is taking the rank minus their point. It looks like it's some kind of formula of their points minus their rank.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. The negative 82 score. So CEH has a negative 82 score. Lamb's minus 40.
I think this is based off of like a redraft.
Must be.
That's the only reason. Like that makes it make sense why you don't see any steals, despite some like pretty reasonably well off scores in the like third round. Like obviously James Robinson and Diggs are both steals because they've scored over 120 points, and they're taken in the 4th and 5th rounds. But like,
Oh, this is fantastic. Did you
I
look at
wouldn't
the
call-
recap yet?
no, oh god.
The recap has the Broncos as the number 1 team, and guess who finished in last place?
You?
Coach Mike
yeah.
had a rotten draft in the 2020 GM's draft. They come away with a 31st ranked draft out of 32. They had their
What?
best draft pick in the 5th round, taking Jake Luton. The
Nice.
first pick, my worst pick in the draft, was taking Tua at number 2 overall. He's a
Yeah, that-
project. I was
that was-
quoted saying.
That was a terrible pick.
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
this
as
is pretty
compared to the
accurate. It put me number
160
2 on the recap because I had one pick the entire draft.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at your draft here, all of your picks were expected to go at 160, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't
So,
have
like, you
drafted.
just reached on every single player except for Luton that you actually snagged him.
I mean, every single pick. Wait, hold on. The only player people I've seen not as the 160 expected value is
Are the rookie picks.
the fake rookie picks that you get for the penalties of the 539 and the 551, which were expected at the 65th and 66th pick. So yes, the 170th pick in the draft, or 160th pick in the draft, should have gone 65, and the 170th pick should have gone 66.
God damn it. Oh, it's so terrible.
This makes me. This is.
Well, it
so-
even has a warning at the top. It's intended only for full redraft leagues. Yeah.
They should put that on the steals and bust page as well.
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of all we have. Isn't it?
Yeah. I think we ran out of content.
An hour and 10 minutes. There's no more trades, so we can't talk about that.
Nope.
The game is going to suck, so we can't talk about that. Cool.
I'm pleasantly surprised at the moment because I debated between picking up Austin Walter after going through all of the work of contacting MFL support staff saying, "Hey, this guy's not in your database. Can you add him for me?" And adding River Crackraft, whatever the fuck his name is. And then by the time I got around to doing it, they had actually added Austin Walter. So I figured, you know what? Some poor dude took time out of his Thursday afternoon / evening to do this. I may as well add him somewhere.
You probably should. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, it's just the nice, considerate thing to do, you know?
All right. Well, after a wild and crazy night before draft deadline eve, a relatively tame final, but we did get some good deals out of it. Thank you, gentlemen, once again for joining said podcast. I hope the viewers have gone down from 6 to 3, so we still somehow hung on to 3 people watching this. So good on you. And seriously, you have nothing better to do than watch us. I mean,
Get a life.
seriously, it's a football game. What are you doing?
Stay home, but get a life.
Anyways, thanks again, and have a good evening.